So there are lots of different types of brain training programs out there, and I am working hard to bring you options to consider, trying to make it more accessible, give you free options to use. And one of the main things people are trying to do with brain training with these sorts of conditions is to rewire your response to symptoms. And something that a lot of people are finding success with is this process known as somatic tracking. So let me know in the comments, have you heard of it? What's your experience been? So we are going to dive into exactly what that is and stick around to the end of this video, because I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions for how to do somatic tracking yourself. So what is somatic tracking? You might have heard a couple of different expressions around this, or terminology. Terms? Somatic tracking and somatic experience. So they both come from the Greek word soma, which means living in the body. So both of these are body-focused practices to help you better connect with your body and to speed up your process of healing. So somatic tracking is a mindfulness process where you pay attention to the different symptoms or sensations in your body without judging them, and initially without trying to change them. Now, different people have, or different programs have slightly different approaches to this, but one of them, according to the Pain Psychology Center, is to look at your symptoms through a lens of safety. So removing that feeling of danger, that automatic response of feeling unsafe when we think about or experience these symptoms. So this is where the brain training or the brain rewiring comes in. I think he's doing pretty well. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Should we have Blue, the co-host, around more often? He's squirmy, but I'm not above putting the little guy to work if it makes this more interesting and brings smiles to your face. And he gets paid in chicken. My coffee cup is no longer filled with coffee. It's filled with chicken. All right, so that's somatic tracking. The other one is somatic experiencing, and the two of them are often used together in a therapeutic process. And one of the pioneers of somatic experiencing is Dr. Peter Levine. He's a medical biophysicist and psychologist who developed somatic experiencing as a body-oriented approach to trauma. So his work has been really influential in this field and has shaped the work of many other people who are doing this. So in the context of ME/CFS, or Long COVID recovery, more research is needed, but both have been shown in many cases to be really helpful for people. And whereas somatic experiencing is often used to look at trauma and past trauma and how that's impacting your current symptoms and your current illness, somatic tracking is more looking at the symptoms themselves and building feelings of safety around that, and then slowly dissipating and diminishing those symptoms until they're hopefully completely gone. And when we use somatic tracking, it's about tuning into these symptoms from that place of safety and having a better understanding of why they're there. And there are many recovery programs for these sorts of conditions that incorporate elements of somatic tracking. Some common ones I imagine you've heard of are this is such a mouthful, I always get it wrong, Dynamic Neural Retraining System, DNRS, what most of us call, and then also the Gupta program incorporates aspects of this as well. There's also the Curable app, which is intended mainly to treat chronic pain, but I've interviewed people on this channel that have used the Curable app for their ME/CFS or Long COVID recovery because they're finding that the same strategies are working from both. It's looking at the neurological origin of symptoms. If this is the case for you, if this is what's happening in your body, then programs like this can be really helpful. And I actually have an affiliate link for the Curable app. I'll put it in the video description, and you'll get 6 weeks of the app completely for free. So if you do decide to give it a try, I thank you for the support. And incidentally, the Curable team told me that I'm one of their top affiliate people in their program. So apparently a lot of you guys are making use of the link. So I'm glad. It means that there's lots of free stuff that I'm putting out there for you guys, hopefully. And then also this helps to make all of this financially feasible and sustainable for me long term. Okay, let's do it. Should we do it? Are we ready? Yes, I think so. So there are a few different approaches to somatic tracking out there, depending on what program or what therapist you're working with, but generally they have the same sort of structure. The first step is to find a quiet, comfortable place where you know you won't be disturbed. So if you do have your own furry friends at home, it might be a good time to say goodbye, to put them aside for a bit. so that you know that you won't be disturbed. And then step 2 in somatic tracking is to take slow, steady, deep breaths just to try and calm and center yourself. And then after you've taken a few deep breaths to calm and center yourself, you're going to allow your attention to shift to the different physical sensations in your body, whatever that might be. It could be pain, it could be tension, it could be discomfort, it could be tightness. Right now my shoulders are a little stiff. I feel probably flexing, trying to hold up the little guy, but just to slowly go through your body and just to see what you notice. And then next is to notice each sensation in your body without any judgment at all. So it's just a sensation. So tuning into what they are, noticing that they're there, and as much as possible doing it from a place of without emotion, without judgment, without negativity, just accepting that this is what is currently happening in your body right now. And I know it can be really easy to get frustrated, especially if you have been sick for a very long time, to feel these symptoms and just have a lot of negativity towards them. But the goal, as you look at them, is to think of yourself as a neutral observer. I like to say like an anthropologist, someone who studies humans, human behavior. You're more of a scientist. You're just noting what's going on. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. You're just noting what's there. And then the next step is to try to understand the sensation. So does it have a texture? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? When you put your attention on it, what sorts of things come up for you? What do you notice about each of the sensations in your body? And then the next step is to just breathe into each of the sensations. So imagining that sensation from your neutral point of view, and take a deep breath. And as you exhale, every time you exhale, you're imagining that symptom lessening, dissipating. Some words I really trip over. But essentially you're imagining that symptom lessening. That's a much easier word to say. As you breathe in, breathe into the symptom, breathe out, and with each breath, picture it getting smaller and smaller and less significant in your body. And as you move through this, as you continue to do this, if the symptom in your body changes in any way, if it lessens, if it moves around, if it changes the way it feels in your body, just keep your attention on that symptom as it changes, staying from that neutral observer standpoint. And remember, the whole time you're doing this with your eyes closed. And then once you've gone through this whole experience and you've moved through all of your sensations, then you can open your eyes and return to your surroundings. So mindfulness is a really key component of, I was almost gonna have a sip of the chicken, of somatic tracking. It's about being in that present moment without judgment. And when you start this practice, you can start with just a few minutes a day. And you really can do it as many times as you want. It's not going to harm you if you do it. There is no too many times. It's just important to remember that we don't want to get too fixated or too obsessive with symptoms. And we don't want to get too rigid with any kind of brain training exercise, because many of us, as we talk about a lot here on the channel, before we got ill, we're kind of overachiever type A type people, and we tend to take things to extremes. And we think, okay, if this is something I'm going to do it 100 times a day. But this isn't one of those things where more is better, and there doesn't have to be anything set in stone. It's important just to have a gentle, compassionate approach to it. Some of the general recommendations that I see for this when you're starting out is to do it maybe 1 to 3 times a day. If you'd like to, over time, and you're feeling comfortable and good with this whole process, you can consider building up to a little bit more. So somatic tracking is definitely a skill that takes time to develop, and you need to be patient with yourself in this process. And the results are really going to vary. It's not going to be the same with everybody, and it's most certainly not a quick fix, but it is something that a lot of people, when they keep it up consistently over time, are having really a lot of success with. There can also be a pacing benefit or aspect to this as well. You can keep a journal. So every time you do the somatic tracking, then after you're done, just take a couple of minutes to note down in point form what you observed and what was happening at that point of the day when you did the somatic tracking. And you will be able to, or you might be able to start noticing connections over time. When were the symptoms worse? When were they the loudest in your bodies? Does that typically correspond to certain activities or certain thoughts or certain people in your life. And then you can start to learn what things are causing symptoms to flare and what things aren't, and then start to, as much as possible, eliminate those things in your days, in your weeks, that are making those symptoms more extreme. What do you think, Blue? Did we cover it all? Come here. All right, well, Blue and I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then I'm gonna link one on the screen that I think you'll also like. It's an interview with Ashok Gupta. He is, or maybe it's here, the founder of the Gupta program, and he is a neuroplasticity expert, and he explains all of this so much better than I ever could. It's got a lot of insights and really practical information in it, so I think you will definitely find it useful. And I've also just started something new with this channel. I have channel memberships. So if you want to join and become a channel member, you will get exclusive perks and content that nobody else does immediately once you join, and it helps to support the channel and helps me to find ways to keep going and keep doing all of this long term. Right? But whatever you do, just keep going, keep researching, keep looking until you find your answers. I am sending massive hugs to you. I hope whatever you're facing right now that you are doing okay. Good for you for keeping at it. I know that none of this is easy. You are a rock star. Give yourself a massive hug and remember that this is just one chapter of your life. I bet you will be shocked to see all the things that are waiting for you in your future once you get past this. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it, and we hope to see you in this next one.